we have our biofield technology, our biofield electricity on one side, and we have our current electrical system that we use on another side. And there's a technology built on this particular electrical system. And this electrical system has many nesting dolls that lead up to its manifestation. And that has a lot to do with the poor quality of electricity that it is. Therefore, even the technology that is built on that is also of lesser quality. Okay. So what I mean by this is when you have nesting dolls brought together, they all influence the very center. Okay. When I talk about multi-dimensionality, this is it all the time. It's like you put all these nesting dolls together, and in the center, in this case, it's our 3D reality. It's influenced by these nesting dolls. For example, we have the galactic plane, the Milky Way galaxy. Now there's more beyond that, right? But there's the Milky Way galaxy, and then within that, the oneness consciousness, and within that, sound turning into light, and within that, light turning into shape, and within that, perception of the soul's journey, and within that, the collective field, and within that, linear time and space, and within that, atoms and molecules, and within that, the core of the cosmic mother, right? All these nesting dolls. Now we're in the 3D plane, so we're in that linear space and time kind of realm, and that is influenced by all these nesting dolls above and below. Now, you add things into these nesting dolls, it's going to add things into our 3D experience, such as, say, you have a creation story that tells you that you've been forsaken by Creator, and that you're a sinner, and that you can never return to the kingdom of heaven. Insert that. And then insert that with many lifetimes of programming and suffering and persecution and war, right? Then you have the Akashic field participating in this inserted program. So now you have an entire culture, entire society that is based on these subconscious truths. I mean, the story is in the awareness of some people, but maybe not everybody, right? So it influences the quality of the experience of the human in that linear time and space. Now, when it comes to electricity, think about it like this. So what kinds of things is our electricity made from? Mostly it's natural gas, which is mined, or it's mined. It's drilled. Sorry, you drill for natural gas. There's a lot of things that go into the drilling. The drilling is not the safest thing. There's people that die doing that. There's a whole culture of industrial whatever in that. And then you have the mining, which is of the coal. People die and suffer and live short lifespans, dedicate their whole life. I mean, there's that level of suffering. And then you have things like nuclear, which is, pretty much, raping the cosmic mother by splitting an atom. All right, there's a lot to be talked about in that. Splitting an atom is a crime against God, according to many, many teachings across the globe and in our history. So, and the first atomic explosion in indigenous lore, guys, was not done in the during World War II. It was actually done thousands of years before that by a prophet named Abraham. That is actually talked about in the scriptures. So our whole history is not accurate. Anyway, so then you have solar, which is also created with mining, unethical mining practices where they're raping the land, child labor, they're ruining ecosystems, blah 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 blah. Not to say that that's this, to dismiss it, just that we know the story of suffering that goes on with that. We're not okay with it, but it is a part of that reality. And the similar thing with wind turbines. So we have and then you have dammed electricity, stopping up the river, flooding a valley, changing the ecosystem. Rivers flow in indigenous lore. The consciousness these rivers are conscious beings that influence the landscape of not just our waking realm, but our sleeping dreamtime realm as well. And then also in the telluric realm. So this gets disturbed. So the very foundation that our electricity is built on suffering and disturbance. That's a major influential part of our nesting dolls, right? Then we have the capturing of the electricity, right? And then there's the things that we do with this electricity. What do we do with this electricity? Well, other than um, we send electricity through these power lines to power our TVs that hypnotize humans, that enslave our minds with TVs and enslaves our children with apps. There's this whole nother level of encasement and many layers of encasements of distraction, blinding. Okay, so that's another nesting doll adding into electricity. So you can see how the advancement of technologies is already sloped in such a way for us to be in a poor relationship with the coming of the next level of technical intelligence coming in, right? So that next level of technical intelligence is already sloped to be an enemy because it's based on the electrical systems that we have right now that are all nesting dolls of different levels of enslavement and suffering. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not saying this to be doom and gloom. I'm just trying to paint the picture of this side of the spectrum. Okay. There is a whole nother side of the spectrum that transcends transcends that level of consciousness and completely elevates it into something else. And this is the seed I want to plant for you guys, because this is actually where we are going. This is where the momentum is going, even though social media and all this other stuff around us is showing us that it's going in this direction over here. We're going to be enslaved automatons in the next 20 years, right?